appreciate that point. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you. Now, I'd just like to thank everyone for their deputations and the time you took doing it. Thank you very much. Okay, so now we'll go on to the item 5, the staff reports. And who have we got? Gemma and Lynette.
Stephen.
Oh, Stephen.
That's Stephen.
Kia ora tātou. It's Gemma, Stephen and Lynette today. I'll just give you a brief intro to this paper, but on the whole we'll take the paper as read. So the draft Safer Speed Plan has been consulted on last year, and changes have been signalled by the current government to the land transport rule setting of speed limits. The Minister has noted a change in focus to unlocking economic growth, increasing productivity and reducing congestion, and he indicates that the new rule will reverse, and he has indicated on a number of communiques that the new rule will reverse blanket speed limit reductions. The rule is planned to be in place later this year after consultation, but the reality is we will not know how any changes will affect our work program or how they will be enacted, expected to be enacted until it comes out for consultation. We will get an idea then. Therefore, that's why you've got the proposal before you today. What are we doing at the moment? Just a really quick summary. There's been a lot of talk about school speed limits, but we are currently implementing the Safe Speed Neighbourhood Program, which was built out of the last long-term plan. So that is a number of areas around the city that have communities have come to us and asked for lower speed limits in their communities. And we are also looking at the speed limits around schools. Now, there is a discussion around whether those are variable or fixed. So fixed all the time or vary throughout the day. There are real challenges with implementing variable speed limits for schools, especially when you have a number of schools close together. Did you realise that schools start at different times of the day and finish at different times of the day? And so it can be it has been very, very challenging, and the team are working through that at the moment. But we are working on those as we speak. Out of this meeting is about the process for the draft Safer Speed Plan, not that work, but that is ongoing, just so you're aware.
Okay, you're all happy? Right, we've got 2 questions so far. It's Sarah and then Jake and then Yanni.
Thanks so much for that. We've had an indication of the direction that the Minister would like to go in, and we're doing most of that already. So the community views, road user views, they come through in the consultation. But the economic analysis is the other key piece. Do we have information already from previous studies and things that we've done, or are we able to get that work done in time to inform our decision making, to make any decision that we make likely not to be sort of contested and things anyway? It just seems like that's the key sticking point, is that Minister direction on economic analysis. Is there anything to stop us doing that?
There's nothing to start us doing it. To stop us starting it. Sorry.
Yeah. Would it be possible, if we went ahead with the hearings panel, so option 1, would it be possible to get that work done in time to inform our decision making, which is the direction that the Minister's heading in anyway?
It is part of the direction that the Minister has signalled, and we really don't know what the Minister's direction will be until after we get that rule. Yeah. We can do it and we can start it, but until we commission the work, we don't know what the timeframes will be. So I couldn't guarantee anything today.
Yeah. Tomorrow's Finance and Performance meeting has a section in it on deaths and serious injuries on our roads.
Yes.
And it says that at this stage in the financial year, we've already had 6 deaths and 80 serious injury crashes.
Yes.
When you look at that proportionately, that means that, and we know that slower speeds reduce the risk of those things. Are we likely to see more deaths and serious injuries as a result of the delay?
The result of a delay.
A delay in slowing speeds.
Look, that's not something we as staff can sit here and answer today, because I don't know what caused all of those deaths and serious injuries. But we have advised you back that, and you've heard from the submitters, that reducing speed limit does reduce the impact of harm.
Yeah, thanks.
And just to add to that, we are partway through implementing what the council approved as part of the interim speed management plan, which was
Which is safe speed neighbourhoods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Jake?
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you. So if we were to proceed with option 1, is it your view that the Director of Land Transport would likely approve a speed management plan?
The Director of Land Transport or the Waka Kotahi have indicated that they will continue approving it, but that doesn't mean that we wouldn't have to undo things if the rule changes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Would you also say it's fair to say it's not exactly clear in terms of what will or won't be reversed
Yeah, no.
in terms of speed management plans? All we've had is a press release saying blankets, reversal of blanket speed changes.
That is correct.
Is it also true that we've sort of expended most of the resources on this project, on the speed management plan to date already?
The work that's been undertaken on the speed management plan to date has been staff time and resource, yeah.
And that we're most of the way through the process is what I'm trying to understand from a cost perspective, staff resource perspective.
We've not done any implementation, so the expensive part is putting it in. But we've done it. We've done some design and we've consulted on that proposal. So yeah, there's been a significant effort put in to date.
And you've already clearly stated that obviously speed management plans do increase safety on the roads.
Lower speed limits reduce the incidence of serious harm, the likelihood of incident of serious harm. The plan just gives us a plan to work to across the city.
Sure. Cool. Thank you.
Okay, while we're getting through this, I'm happy to move the staff recommendation and Sam's happy to second it. Next question is Yanni, please.
Thanks. I just wanted to check on a couple of things. In the report, I can't see what areas, like we've been given the areas that have already been done, and we're told that the ongoing engagement is for new areas that people have asked for. What are the areas that this is covering?
This is a citywide proposal that has gone out, and we're talking about the process today for moving forward to the hearings panel, not the areas of the...
Right, some of the submitters have said this is not a blanket speed thing, this is a targeted approach. What I'm trying to understand is what are the areas that are currently being targeted in this plan, and why is that not in the report?
That is not in the report because that is part of what would go to the hearings panel. So that is not what we are here to discuss today. What we're here to discuss today is the process moving forward and the implications of what the Minister has said. Now, the Minister has talked about blanket speed limits, but we have no definition on what that means because the changes to the rule haven't come out yet.
Good answer, thank you.
This is a high-level process that doesn't have any specific areas that we're proceeding with.
That is incorrect, Councillor. So through the chair, that is incorrect. The process. This is a process to deal with the process that we've undertaken to consult on. The areas will be debated and discussed as part of the hearing.
Right. So just so we understand, people have been asked to put forward streets that to identify.
So
Staff have
through
put
the
forward-
chair, sorry, Councillor, through the chair, this is about the process for that. That has been undertaken. It's not the detail of that.
Okay, that's pretty clear answer, Yanni,
Right.
thank you.
Can I check also with in terms of the analysis of the deaths and the crashes? Do we get
That's not what we're here to talk about. You're getting into...
no, because we've heard about safety and the impact that this has on making the city safer. And I'm just trying to understand how we do the analysis around the statistics that we have and the causes versus the safety in terms of lowering speed.
Through
So
you, Mr. Chair.
can I just
think
understand-
it's unfair to ask those questions without the prior question to the staff. How can they answer the questions on the blind without that information?
I'm just
And-
asking about
and
the
through the
process,
chair
not about
again.
the specifics.
We'll just
Again,
get
that
back to Lynette.
will be dealt with through the hearings panel process because that is the detail of
Yep, thank
our
you.
work that is going to be heard.
Thank you. Andre, please.
Thank you. Can you talk a bit about what timelines of hearings panels would be if it was going ahead? Presumably after long-term plan, presumably it takes some months. What's the...
Yes. So the people that I asked that question of have all disappeared out of the room this morning. However, they did advise it would be after long-term plan before we could convene a hearing panel. And as you will see in the report, we've recommended that it's a panel of the whole, a committee of the whole, and a hearings panel of the whole of council. Sorry. So it would be, it would be after LTP, which doesn't start till July, finish till July. So it'd be July, August probably.
Yeah.
I haven't got a date yet, but it would be later in the year.
Yeah. And then presumably it would take some time.
Well, we would be prepared once we got that because we've got time to
Yeah.
get organised for that. It'd take some time probably to work through. It could be a long hearings panel.
Yeah.
If we had a lot of submitters, it could be 3 or 4 days of hearings, then deliberations and questions.
But so are we expecting to understand the new rules by the end of the year?
The minister has indicated the new rule will be enforced by the end of the year. So we will have had consultation. We will have. I'm presuming that council will likely want to submit on any new rule. So that would be through council. We will have submitted on it, and then it will have been enacted.
Yeah. Okay. So enacted by the end of the year, but we should learn of
We'd
it.
have an idea before then.
Yeah. So okay. So we should learn well before then.
Yeah,
Okay.
because we'll have an idea of what it's going to look like when it comes out for consultation.
Yeah. But going forward with the hearings panel now would likely mean that we do the hearings panel, then find out the new rule, basically just as we finished the hearings panel.
Around about the same time, possibly.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, thank you. Tim?
Yeah, thank you. I've just got a couple. So people have commented the definite rules for a hearing. So we won't have definite rules from the minister through until later this year.
Yeah, correct.
But if we progress with option 1, would give us a good foundation to lead into that, or is that not correct?
That's the decision that's sitting with you here today as council.
It's a joyful one, isn't it? Yes. So the safest speeds with schools is not going to be affected at all, irrelevant of this. But what could be from this is a discussion over variable speed signs
Or fixed speed signs, yep.
Yeah. Okay. And blanket speed zone. We're actually someone. I think it was John that mentioned it's actually not a blanket speed. We're actually after, is it, or is it?
That again, we haven't had the definitions from the minister about what blanket speed limits are. So until we get that clarity,
which will be later in the year from the minister. Yep. Okay. And the safer speed neighbourhoods aren't going to be affected by this decision either, is it? So we had comment with regards to Beckenham. We've got the safe speeds in those.
They are already under implementation, but I can't guarantee they won't be affected. But that would be something we would have to come back and talk to you about, should they be.
And again, we won't know that irrelevant of what it is that comes back from the minister.
And through the chair, sorry, councillor, it would also be something that we would indicate to you at the time that we were doing that submission to the proposed change to the rule.
Okay. And so nothing with regards to other things that affect safety, like U-turns in front of schools, which has been banned overseas for decades and decades. Waka Kotahi and the government's never looked at. That's not included?
No, that's not included in this. This is
Okay.
just the rule around setting of speed limits.
Okay. And I know my colleagues have touched on it, and it's the other things that affect accidents and injuries, like cell phone use and things like that. That's not being considered at all.
No,
Stricter fines, nothing like that. So it's purely just.
setting of speed limits.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Mark, please.
Thank you. I heard you mention earlier about undoing speed changes if we put them in place, and that presumably would have cost implications on us as a council in undoing them.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Aaron?
Yeah, it was raised by a number of submitters that slower speeds, or the impact at slower speeds, you have more chance of survival.
Yep.
We've heard the science is pretty clear on that. And so, because we like to be evidence-based, do we get the numbers from the crash reports from the police of the number of people killed or seriously injured on Christchurch roads every year when people are doing the speed limit? So not the excessive, do 120 in a 50k zone. You could make the speed limit 10. They're still going to do 120. Not those fatalities, but of people obeying the road rules, so not on their cell phone or doing whatever else, but not on drugs, just driving at 50k an hour. What's the fatality and serious injury rate of those crashes?
Again, that's not something we can answer today, and it's
Should
not
we
something.
not collect that?
It is in the information we get from the police database, but it
okay.
will be
Can we get an
presented
update
at the
on that?
hearing. Well, it'll be presented at the hearing. That sort of information will be what's presented at the hearing.
Thank you. That's good. Thank you. Victoria?
Oh, thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you, Lynette. Is there anything you've heard today from councillors and presenters that you didn't consider in making your recommendation? Or perhaps put another way, is there anything you've heard today that would change your recommendation to the table?
Our recommendation, the options are on the report. That's for you to consider and make the decision.
Is there anything that's been raised today that you didn't consider in making that recommendation?
No, not to my knowledge.
Beauty. Jake?
Thanks, Lynette. We've heard that the SMP that we're hoping to enact may well be compliant with the new rules anyway.
Maybe.
And, you know, notwithstanding Sarah's point about an economic analysis, that might help to wrap it up with a nice wee bow. Does that mean that by proceeding today, option 1, we would be able to get, assuming it was compliant, a speed management plan in place quicker without delay?
And it may and it may not, and I can't give you a better answer than that. I'm sorry, because it does depend. Look, if the hearing would be done, so there would be one step that you wouldn't have to do in order to enact what was going.
So it was reasonable. It would be reasonable to assume that we could do it. We could get lower speeds in place quicker if we were to proceed.
Not. It depends on what the rule comes out with, and that's the issue I've got and the team have got, is we just don't know what's going to come out of the rule.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you. Sam, please.
I think Jake's actually answered and answered my question.
Tim, again?
Thank you. Well, I'm getting my money's worth, that's for sure. So if we held a hearing, say, August, September, because we've got a kind of staff do have to lick their wounds after the long-term plan, and they're looking like the government's going to be, the minister will be doing something, by putting his information out with regards around September, October, somewhere around there. So if we held the hearing, we'd almost be tag teaming with the information coming out. So the information we had from the hearing would then be a real clear idea of what the people of Christchurch wanted leading into the minister's direction. So it could actually be a good timing.
Yes.
Cool,
It
thank
could
you.
be.
And lastly, Kelly, and then Andre.
Thanks, Lynette. In your time in council, how often have you had to make decisions before an imminent announcement by government on the particular area that you're concerned about?
We can only ever make decisions with the best information that we have at the time. This report here has the best information that we have right at the time, and hence you've got it sitting with you to make a decision today.
That's a very good answer. Thank you.
Andre, please.
I'm not quite sure how to ask the question, but the way I'm seeing this is there's nothing necessarily stopping us from committing to a hearings panel by the end of the year.
No, nothing.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Aaron?
So it's kind of a follow-on from Kelly's question. You said that you work with the best information you have at the time,
Yep.
and your staff recommendation is to hit pause based on that information at this point in time.
Until we know more what the rule is.
Thank you.
I'm not sure.
Yanni, please.
Oh, yeah, thanks. I'm just trying to understand, why are we having an extraordinary meeting to consider this? Why wasn't this considered as part of a normal council meeting?
Katie.
There was a very significant chance that there would be a high volume of deputation requests, given that this consultation generated over 100 submitters who wanted to be heard. So in anticipation of that and the time frame in which those deputations could be considered, we had an extraordinary council meeting today.
Thank you.
Thank
Right.
you, Katie.
So we've done questions to death. We've got a mover and a seconder. We have also actually got a foreshadowed motion. So we're going to have 10 minutes for a cup of tea, and then we'll get back into debate when we come back. Thank you.